Hello, everyone, and welcome to Hack the Gamer Podcast, a podcast where we talk about gaming, comics, movies, and everything nerd. Today, we're going to be talking about Shazam: Fury of the Gods. So we just saw it, and if you haven't seen our out of theater review, or my out of theater review, then you wouldn't know. But I give DC the edge. I give them one. You know, it's 1-0 right now. It's 1-0 DC and 0 for Marvel for Ant-Man Quantumania. This is going to be spoilers, so if you haven't seen the movie yet, you don't want to spoil the review, then you should probably not listen to this and just check out the out of theater review. But I like to jump into the spoiler reviews right away. Do out of theater, then the spoiler review after that. So we kind of delve into the story and the plot and the movie a little bit deeper. But, this movie, it was an entertaining movie. And, it was, lately and nowadays, it seems like, of course, anytime you go to the movies, you want to see a good movie. You want to see a movie that, surpasses your expectations, that meets your expectations and exceeds your expectations. Is always a great thing. And this movie definitely exceeded my expectations. This is how I'm taking and tackling superhero movies going forward. I'm just going in there just to have a good time. Not expecting it to be an Avenger level movie or, because I think we got spoiled with those movies, man. Because, the first Avengers was great. Endgame was great. Infinity War was pretty good. Age of Ultron, I wasn't really, a big fan of. But the Hulk Buster and, Hulk scene was great. But I really wasn't a huge fan of Age of Ultron because I really wasn't feeling Ultron and how they did him in the movie. And of course, that's important. We're going to be talking about villains and how important it is for that hero villain dynamic to be, believable and you feel the threat, and that just makes for a better movie when they have a good villain, a great villain. So, but we kind of were spoiled with those type of movies. Dark Knight. Those type of movies were great, and of course we want our movies to be great. We're paying money, so we want to see a good movie. But nowadays the movies are, superhero movies are just kind of what they are. Just over the top, action, over the top. When it comes to just antics and the campiness and things like that, and yeah, I'm not looking for an Oscar, winning movie every time I go to see a superhero movie or when I go see a superhero movie, But like I said, this one, it did exceed my expectations because, the first one, I liked the first Shazam. My whole thing with the first Shazam was, the family getting powers in the same movie. I thought it was a little too quick, I wanted to see Shazam shine more. I wanted to see Shazam do more in the first one, and maybe they get powers in this one or something like that. But it does work. I do like the family having powers. It is, they do have powers and get powers in the comic books, so they pay homage that way, and take a chapter out of the comic books and make it canon in that regard, with the family getting powers. But I would like to see it a little bit later on in the franchise or the series. But before we get into Shazam: Fury of the Gods, we're going to take a little look at the first Shazam and kind of how it was set up and things like that. And it seems like they kind of did change the movie based on how the Shazam, the first one, ended and things like that with Dr. Savina, Thaddeus Savina. He was supposed to be the first Shazam, or he was rejected by the Wizard because he wanted to take the Eye of Sin. He was drawn by it, he was tempted by it, and those who are tempted by the Eye of Sin aren't worthy to have the powers of Shazam, the Wizard. So, he came back as an adult, and, pretty much when the Wizard was weak, he took the eye, and, the seven sins entered him, and the eye entered him, his right eye. He had the Eye of Sin and the seven deadly sins to wield as his weapon. So he kind of wreaked havoc with the seven sins in the movie. And of course, Shazam is led, or Billy Batson was led to Shazam to be the champion, and the rest is pretty much history after that. But in the end of the first movie, Shazam, after everybody gets their powers, his family members, he breaks the staff of power, the wizard's staff that gives him the power of Shazam. So he breaks that staff, and from there, they kind of leave it, and they pick up in the second movie, Shazam, Fury of the Gods, where the first one left off as far as when it came to the staff being the focal point of the movie. So so let's get into the Shazam Fury of the Gods. And like I said, this is going to be spoilers, man. So this is your last chance to to click off and wait until you see the movie to listen or watch this. But because we're doing this on our YouTube channel as well, as Spotify and Apple Podcasts and Google Podcasts, things like that. So Hack the Gamer Podcast, check it out. It's out there now. So and we're going to be doing more, going forward, probably do it like this in video form as well. But, so it picks up with the Daughters of Atlas. And that's those are the big bads in this movie. The Daughters of Atlas are the enemies, quote unquote, because villains, a villain, like I said, compelling villain is a villain that you could root for. You understand their plight, you understand their purpose or reason behind what they're trying to do and what they're trying to accomplish. And it's only opposite of the hero because it may go against the hero's morals and things like that. But ultimately, it's something, a good villain, they have, some morals, and they have, their goal and their goal alone. You see what I'm saying? Sometimes it's pretty crazy to take over the world domination. And sometimes it's just, hey, in my eyes, like, Thanos, snapping, half of the population away was going to save the world. And he saw that because of the Eternals and, the beings in that, I think it's sentience or I forgot what they call those beings in the Eternals. But, the big world ending, entities, he knew that the population had something to do with feeding them and giving them power, so when you look at a villain, you want to know who the villains are, who the big bads are, and you want to know who what I'm saying, like you want to know their plight, you want to understand their plight, you want to look into their plight, and you want to understand it. And a good villain you do. Like a villain that just kind of walks around aimlessly, you don't really know, you know what I'm saying? You don't really know, or you don't really care if it's not a good villain. Like Ultron, like he just wanted to make more puppets of himself and things like that and take over the world, like in his way. So I mean, he had a good point, but it wasn't really executed well. But the Daughters of Atlas, they had a good plan, and they had a good purpose. And I just wanted to look at I kind of looked at the Eternals, kind of wanted to make the reference correct, but yeah, Eternals, Celestials, yeah, they're Celestials, and Erishim was the being in that one, but the Celestials are the big giant things that destroy the earth. But yeah, so Daughters of Atlas, Hespera, Calypso, and Anthea, they want the staff to pretty much rebuild their world. They need the staff to do that. They need magic to do that. And of course, the staff it wields and holds magic. So they, first things first, go to the museum, I believe in Europe, and they, wreak havoc in the museum to get the staff of the wizard. And it's broken at this point because, Billy Batson destroyed it, or Shazam destroyed it in the first one. So, they get, the staff, and power is rushing through them. They're like, okay, they feel the power. And man, they go in on the people at the museum. I'm like, why did they go so hard with these? Like, what do these people do? But I think they set it up like that to show how menacing the Daughters of Atlas can be. How powerful they are, how devoted to their cause, and how they're not going to let anything get in their way of accomplishing their mission of getting the staff, making it whole and creating a new world for the gods, a new world for them to live. And they wreak havoc in that. Calypso's power is insane, man. She can whisper. She's the daughter of chaos, so like she could like whisper, whatever, like a spell in your ear and have you go crazy or say something and compel you to do it. So she has the power of compulsion, and it's pretty wicked and cool to see. But Hespera, I think she controls the elements, and then Anthea is access. So she could like change different, she could change how to like, kind of how Doctor Strange had the mirror world and how everything looked weird and stuff like that. She could change different access points. She could like, teleport to a different location, but like change everything to get there. Like, the whole surrounding, like a building could shape, and like the buildings around you could morph into different things to get you to, or get her to where she's trying to go. So she could get you to different doors and things like that, and get different areas. She's got access. So they get this staff, and the story starts there. The movie starts there, and then it picks up with Shazam and his family, brothers and sisters, pretty much superheroes at this point. Like they're known as the Philly Fiascos in this, because they wreak havoc trying to help. And there's a big scene where they on a bridge where everybody is in peril because for some reason the bridge is breaking. It's one of those scenes where classic Spider-Man scenes where he saves people on a bridge type stuff. Or Fantastic Four, it's the bridge saving scene. So the bridge is falling apart somehow, and they come through and they start saving people and doing the best they can to use their powers to save people, get them out the way, and stuff is going crazy. Bridge cables are popping and cars are falling into the ocean and type stuff, and they make some comedic things here, and Freddy, the brother Freddy, he kind of gets his shine here. The story is more so about Freddy's development than it is Billy Batson. It is about Shazam's development, and we're going to talk about that here in a moment. But it seems like it follows Freddy, his brother, the one the one that was mainly in the first one. He has the limp and things like that, and uses the walker to walk around. He is the one that they're focused on. Freddie Freeman, I think it is. Freeman. I'm looking as I'm talking because I got points I want to talk about, but I gotta sometimes look it up too. So I want to make sure we're hitting the points I want to hit. So Freddie Freeman. I think he's also known as Captain Marvel Jr. in the comics, and he's a smaller version of Shazam. Shazam Jr. Captain Marvel Jr. We know that Shazam started as Captain Marvel. We know that whole situation. But it's kind of it's more about him and following him and his journey as, a superhero and his conflicts and him, trying to cope with, being in Billy's shadow, so to speak. He's like, I want to do things on my own. I want to check things out. Let me spread my wings and fly. Because at this point, Shazam is kind of like the leader. They look to him as a leader. And there's this funny, I think you've seen it in the previews, psychiatrist, but he's really like a pediatrician, though. So he's not a psychologist, but Billy Shazam is on the couch and he's telling him about his problems, and he's like, "Yo, I'm a pediatrician, right?" You know what I'm saying? So, and he's like, "Yeah, Billy Batson referred me." But the conflict of him trying to be the leader and trying to show his family the ropes when it comes to being a superhero is the gist of the movie as well. It's kind of like the one of the plots in it as well. Trying to come into his own as a superhero and find their identity as superhero, because they really at this point they don't even know their name. They're still Thundercrack and what I'm saying, Dr. Sparkle Fingers and all the other stuff. Captain what do you say, Captain Marvel Jr. or what do you say, Lightning Jr. or something like that. He said in the movie. Freddy did when he came to Shazam, but. So they don't even know who they are right now. They're just, flying around, saving, people they have the classic, ear to the police scanner and listening for crimes and things like that and things going on. Freddy is anyway. And, it really follows his journey. He meets a girl in this one, which is, her name is Anne, which is, turns out to be, Anthea. Anthea, and one of the daughters of Atlas. So you find that out fairly quickly in the movie that she is one of the daughters when they're looking into the library. Because at this point they have a lair. They have a lair that they go to, and Billy hosts meetings, and everybody's kind of like, "Billy, come on, man, what are we doing here?" Type stuff in the meetings. So the meetings are a drag, and they're like, why are we doing this? Is wasting our time, because everybody has their own life. The sisters are trying to find their own. The little one is still little, and that's the one that Megan Good plays. But so she's just kind of in her own world too. So she's not really too into it. I'm trying to remember all the names of the brothers and sisters, but because I think Mary is the oldest one, and then you got let me see. Let me just look at the names. Yeah, because I don't want to mess that up as well. Yeah. So, Freddie, Darla, Pedro, and Eugene. So, so Pedro, like I said, and Eugene are just, still trying to find their way. Pedro's kind of like interested in sports and stuff like that, and Eugene is looking at the doors and going through every door, trying to find out, where they lead. And there's like a whole bunch of doors, and it was in the first one as well. Like the doors just lead to different places, so they're kind of trying to test out where's the door, where's this door lead to, and things like that. So. They're kind of trying to find their way as superheroes, and it's really a drag because everybody's kind of like, y'all are Philly fiascos, and every time you show up, it's a disaster. You might as well not even help, basically. So they deal with a lot of that, and that's the internal conflict they deal with. So the external is the sisters and the daughters of Atlas, but Freddie and Anne on the rooftop, and he's like, trying to impress her, and he's like, and she takes to him because their first meeting, he actually did try to stand up to those two bullies in the first one that had the truck that Shazam like smashed up and stuff like that, and he fought him, Billy Batson fought him and stuff like that. So he showed his heart in the first one a lot. I think, and that's why I think people gravitated to it. I like the first one. I think I like this one a little more because it shows Shazam getting more shine in him at a different level of maturity, though he's still like, I don't know, he seems like he's more immature as an adult when he turns into Shazam than he is when he's Billy Batson. So that dynamic is kind of weird. I think they kind of overdo it a little bit when it comes to him being Shazam. Like, yo, we get that you're a kid in a man's body, but if you look at the cartoon, or not cartoon, but the animated series, because it's not really, it's cartoon but animated. If you look at that, when he first turned to Shazam, he was still like, yo, what's going on? And still, you could tell he was a kid and he was new at this thing, but he wasn't like over the top, like campy, it wasn't over the top, like, he wasn't over the top, like a pain in the butt, you know what I'm saying? And just like, oh, everything is weird, everything is cool, everything is this, and dude, and always cracking jokes. He wasn't really like that, and I kind of like that, that balance. I mean, even though he's funny, I like the actor who plays Shazam. Was Zachary? Give me a second here. Yeah, was Zachary Levy. I do like him, as an actor, and I do like him in this role. It's just I think that they kind of push him a little bit too far when it comes to being campy and funny. Though there was a lot, I did laugh a lot in this. Like there were more laughs in this one than it was the first one for me. The family were, they were cracking. I liked how they played off each other and they cracked jokes, and they were pretty funny. Freddie's a pretty funny dude. But getting back to the rooftop, he's on the rooftop with Ann, and he says, I know one of them, the superheroes. I can, bring one of them to you. I can show you that I know him. Let me give him a call, and, he's going to show up. So he, goes around the corner to where she can't see him, and he transforms into his Shazam. And like I said, all of them say Shazam, and it can turn to their version of Shazam or their powers. Which I believe all of them have the similar powers. I think some are heightened than others, or more focused than others, but they can all fly and have super strength and things like that and speed. But I think some are just more highlighted. Shazam has all of them at max strength, but I think each of them have their own their levels of their strength. I believe so, and especially in the comics. But they go all fly and things like that, and are strong and fast. But I think some are more highlighted than others as far as their strength and speed and things like that. So, and knowledge and things, but yeah, so, so he does that, he changes, he presses her, she's like, wow, this is cool. What's good? Wow, how can you do this? And then she instantly like turns, and then because at this point as well, they have a library and they have a pen that can write whatever you say, which is awesome. And like I said, this is kind of like going back to like wizards and Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings type magic and stuff like that. We have different inanimate objects can actually move and actually you could communicate to them. So, and you have spells and different things. So that was pretty cool to see. So they got the knowledge. They asked Steve, which Eugene was using Steve to, or I think it's Pedro. Pedro was using Steve to write his homework and stuff like that. So Pedro knew about this library and was like, yeah, we could get some more information. And so he told him, he introduced him to Steve, which is a pen, a fountain pen that could write whatever you say. So, they asked Steve, who the daughters of Atlas were, and that's when they found out their powers and kind of what they're after when it came to the staff and things like that, and wanting to bring their world to modern day in time, because basically they were trapped in there because the Wizard Shazam trapped them basically in a magic, where a place where there's no magic. They can't use their magic. They can't enter into Earth and our realm because of what the wizard his spell and his powers, and he took the staff and pretty much banished them from his realm and the Earth realm. So they didn't have access, but when Billy broke the staff, they had access again to the Earth realm. So the wizard was keeping them at bay even when he was weak. So he was doing that for years upon years upon years, millennia. So, but so we find out that Anne is Anthea, the god of access, and her sisters come, and they wreak havoc. Calypso is Lucy Liu, and Hesper is Helen Mirren. Anthea, I don't know the actress name on Anthea. Let me see. The Rachel Zegler is her name. So yeah, that's the actresses that play, and they do well. You know what I'm saying? I like how they play off each other. You could tell that sister dynamic was there. I liked it. Some say that it wasn't as good as it could have been as far as the acting, but I thought it was great. I mean, and that's the thing. When it comes to movies like this, movies in general, you really have to take your own opinion. You see what people say about it to get an idea, but you have to really go see it for yourself to really gauge how you feel about it. Because you don't want people, like for this one in particular, I didn't watch any reviews, I didn't watch any spoilers, nothing like that, and I went in there to get my own take, and then later on, I looked and saw other people's opinion on it, and some people loved it, some people hated it, and things like that. So it's mixed reviews on this movie. I'm one of the people that liked it. I thought it was a good movie. It wasn't great. I'm not saying it was a great, 10 out of 10 movie, but it was a decent movie. Maybe 7 out of 10, maybe 7.5, 8 in my opinion. Because of course, it was some plot holes. There was some things that could have been better. It got a little messy here and there, and CGI was a little bit weird at some points. But it kept me engaged. Like first, second, third act kept me engaged. And typically, a movie either fizzles around the second, and then the third comes back, or it fizzles and never gets its footing and falls off completely off the wagon. This one, it kept me entertained from the jump. I could say it really did. Though it's a long movie, I believe it's 2 hours and 10 minutes or something like that. It's a long movie, and you can start feeling that, okay, this is a long movie, but this happens or that happens. They throw something at you that kind of was like, okay, I was expecting it, but I wasn't expecting it this way. You know what I'm saying? So there are some points in here that are, wow, that's pretty cool, man. It was good to see. Because at first, the scene with Wonder Woman into the dream sequence, I was like, they're not going to do Wonder Woman like this. They're not going to, just have a actress that's not young adult, not in this movie, because they didn't show the face of the actress, that was playing it. Because in this dream, Billy has a thing for Wonder Woman. Shazam, Billy has a thing for Wonder Woman. So in the movie, and I guess going forward, but so he was having a dream. They were at dinner and things like that, and then the wizard comes in like, "Yo, get yourself together," because he did a spell. And the wizard. So I'm kind of all over the place, but as I recall the movie in my mind, things are coming to me. But the wizard was in prison at the moment. The sisters caught the wizard, or he was in prison. And I don't know if they really explained, like, was it the sisters that did it, or was it, or the daughters of Atlas, or was it him, after he, used his powers and he disappeared in the first Shazam. Is this where he went? Because he wanted to die in peace. Like, we thought he was dead, but he's really just in this, I guess, a limbo type situation where he's kind of waiting to die, I guess. Because they're pretty much eternal, but for the most part. I mean, they get their physical, I think they can die, but, if they become mortal, or if another god kills them, they can die, or magic kills them, they can die, but not by human means and things like that. It has to be magic that kills them. And then they still live in the afterlife and things like that, so they can be resurrected and things like that. So the wizard is caught, and they need the wizard. The daughters of Atlas need the wizard to mend the staff, so they can use the staff to draw in more power, so they can bring their world, the new world, to to Earth, or not even to Earth. And we're gonna get to that in a second, but to create the new world for themselves. So when we see the wizard, he doesn't have any powers at this time, really, for the most part. No magic, really. So the sister, they kind of just Hespera, brings him close and slams him to the. It was kind of a funny part because his beard is like mine, but longer, and it was like stuck through the jail cell, so it looked kind of crazy. So she's telepathically or telekinesis slammed him against the using telekinesis slammed him against the cage in the prison cell, and Calypso, she rumored him. For those who like the Umbrella Academy and those who know about Umbrella Academy, got told to compelled to give or amend the staff. So he did that. So he amended the staff, and but he got a piece of it. He took a splinter and he got a piece of it, and he was able to use some magic and tell that splinter, go find me who's responsible for this staff, and for releasing the daughters of Atlas on the world. And of course it was Billy, because he broke the staff, which unleashed which broke the spell, keeping them from entering into our world. So he was responsible. So that's when the wizard came into the dream and fussed him out and stuff like that. So it was pretty cool. But yeah, but I was like, man, they're not going to do Wonder Woman like this, man, because you couldn't see her face. So I was like, please tell me that is Wonder Woman. The Wonder Woman we know and love, 1984, that wasn't really your fault, Gal. But we still want to see you on the screen. So it was good to see her, and it's spoiled now. Like, you could go online, you can see in actual trailers that they show that she's in this movie. So she is in this movie, and she plays a role. We're gonna get to that here in a moment, but I'm not trying to recap the whole movie because I'm trying to keep this at 30 minutes or so. So I don't want these to be super long episodes. But yeah, so getting back to the rooftop, the sisters come. They take the power, because that's what the staff does now. They want to drain all of the champions' powers and use that for them. Because the champions can stop them. They are a threat, regardless if they're kids or not. They're a threat still to the daughters of Atlas, their plan. So they want to take all their powers and make sure they have them fully charged when it came to the staff. So they take Freddy's powers. The whole gang comes. Shazam and his family comes and shows up and tries to fight, and they get pretty much stopped because Athena did her thing and switched things around and access and stuff like that. So, and they were like, if you follow, we will kill Freddy. So, they stopped. Shazam still flew after them, but they created a kind of like what they were encaged in, a barrier around a certain part of Philadelphia that they couldn't get through. You couldn't get through this barrier. It's kind of like what they were dealing with the wizard, but only Hespera, one of the gods, can release, or Calypso. Any one of them probably could have removed that dome, keeping them in there, but so they did the dome, and they were encased in the dome, and they couldn't get out. So they came together, Shazam and the family, and they wanted to find a way to do a trade. Hey, we'll say we're going to give her our powers, but we're really not going to give her our powers, and we're going to fleece them, and we're going to jump them basically when it came to that, so we can get Freddy back. But Freddy is put in prison with the wizard, and they have a fun little dynamic too, and some tension there, and banter is pretty funny there too with them. So I like seeing those two on screen, the wizard and Freddy. So that's pretty cool. But yeah, Anthea, and she still has she does like Freddy. She really did, saw his courage and was like, man, your powers don't make you a superhero. Your heart does. Your actions do. You have heart. Freddy has heart. And it shows. It showed in the first one. He's getting bullied and still talking trash. I like characters like that. Can't stand bullies, but love characters who have heart, knowing they're going to get beat up, but they still talk trash. I mean, those are cool characters. That's real stuff. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, so she really does take to him. So she does help him out when it comes to the prison, and tells him how to get out of there and things like that. So they do find a connection. And then we see the scene where Shazam is talking to Hespera, Helen's Mirren's character, and they talk it out, and they she pulls his card. She knows what you're a kid. I know you're Billy. Freddy was compelled to tell them that he was Billy, but Freddy fought it. Like I said, he has heart. He fought the compulsion from Calypso to tell them who the kids were, because they wanted to know the identity of the champions and of his brothers and sisters. So, but he fought his hardest, but it slipped out, but he fought his hardest. And there's the thing about writing letters with Steve, that you can actually, write a letter to a certain god with their name, and the letter turns into a bird and actually flies to the god and relays a message. And that was a funny part of the movie too, because the message had a whole bunch of, Steve was writing whatever they said, like they were talking about Gatorade and stuff like that. And they were like, oh, what's Gatorade? It's like a magic potion type stuff. You know what I'm saying? So that part was funny, as well. Like I said, there was some comedic moments in here. Like I really did laugh, and it was like, that's funny, you know what I'm saying? So, some good moments in here, but yeah, so Athena shows him the way, and the wizard and Freddy make for it. But Shazam actually comes in there and finds where they're at, comes in there, steals the staff, and gets them out of there, gets Freddy and them out of there. And then of course they have the battle. Really fast forward to where they met again. And they have a battle when it comes to Hespera, and she's a beast, man. Like, she's daughter of Atlas, so she's strong and fast, just like him, and also can manipulate the elements and things like that. So she's strong. So her and Shazam go at it. The family comes in. Mary fights. I think Pedro actually loses his powers at this moment because they were expecting them to basically ambush him, so they did a reverse ambush, and they set them up, and then, he got hit with the staff and lost his powers. So like I said, they use the staff to drain their powers, or they can't turn into Shazam anymore. And like that was one of the jokes, man. I suck at dodgeball, you know what I'm saying? I told you I suck at dodgeball. Pedro said that, and he got hit and he turned back. He lost his powers, but Mary and everybody else was there, and they fought. And they got Helen, Hespera. So and she went willingly because she wanted the seed of life, basically the apple that's a golden apple, which it was at first Shazam had, and it was black and things like that. He didn't know what it was. He was kind of messing with it and things like that, kind of thinking and getting his thoughts to write the letters. But ultimately he had basically a seed for life from the tree of eternity, I believe it was. And they needed that seed to start their world, and the thing is, and that's why I said it's good to have good villains in movies, because you can kind of relate to them, or you kind of understand their plight. It's easier to, not really root for. Some people do root for the villains, which is cool, but you understand their plight, and which makes you understand why the villains doing what they're doing. They were cheated years of their powers. They were cheated years of them ruling and things like that, and they want to keep their father's legacy, Atlas's legacy, going. When it comes to their world, and they just wanted to do it in their realm. At least Hespera and Anthea did, but Calypso had other things. She was like the visceral part of her father, or I want to, our dad was a warrior, what I'm saying? We wouldn't yield to anybody. She's that type, of character. So a fire, plug, and, what I'm saying, was ready to go to battle at all costs. And I like those characters too. But, Helen was brutal too. but she, Helen Hespera, I may, say it like that, but she was only like that to accomplish the goal. Calypso's goal, or Lucy Liu's goal, changed once they got the seed, and we're like, you know what, these humans are ants to us. They pop like grapes. There was like I said, there's some crazy scenes in here where they go hard, man. Like I said, that first scene, like they obliterate those people in there, man, and it's pretty crazy. But so there's some rough scenes in here, man, when it comes to like violence and stuff like that. But that's like kind of like DC's thing too, like. They do have, violent stuff and things, and Marvel does too. But they don't really, they didn't show like certain things, but they hint to it. But yeah, I mean, it's just one of those things where they're a little bit more violent, and have a little bit more edge when it comes to showing that type of stuff when it comes to the villains and things. But yeah, so they fight. They pretty much have an argument, and between Hespera and Calypso, and they're like, no, she's like, no, we're not doing that. The goal, and of course Anthea was like, no, that wasn't the plan. The plan was to get the staff and get the seed and start our world here in our realm and rebuild our world in our realm, not their realm. You know what I'm saying? So not the Earth realm. That would destroy the world, and we don't want to do that. And Calypso's like, yeah, we do, and we're going to. So, that's the dynamic shifted, now the conflict shifted to the sisters and, Calypso. And so that's where the fight went to. And, she was successful in planting the seed of life. That's where you see that, that stadium. I can't, was it Flyer Stadium? I can't, the stadium, I think it's baseball, Flyers, but Philadelphia, right? Philadelphia Flyers. Y'all gonna get me, man, Philly fans. Or the Philadelphia Phillies, my bad. Who's the Flyers then? Flyers. Yeah, that's a hockey team, my bad, y'all. Still Philadelphia, but the Phillies, that stadium. So, she plants the seed. They were able to do that. And, the tree of eternity pops up. And if it was in their world, if they planted the seed in their world, it would have been beautiful. It would have been like they remember. It would have been, majestic and, tranquil and all that stuff for them, the world they remember. But since they planted it on soil that wasn't supposed to receive the seed of life or eternity, it breeded monsters and ogres and minotaurs and things like that. Because the soil was corrupted, I guess that's what they were trying to say. But so have a whole bunch of monsters wrecking Philadelphia and things like that. And one part was funny because unicorns. You think unicorns are beautiful, majestic creatures that fly over the rainbow, shoot rainbows out their horns and things like that. They're beautiful, they're friendly and stuff like that. But the wizards like, unicorns is the king of the beast. In their world. So they had this dope unicorn, man. Like these unicorns were so cool, man. So they had a scene where the whole thing was the kids. No, none of the kids had the powers at this moment. Even Mary lost it. Like everybody lost their powers besides Shazam. And it was a touching moment where Shazam and his mom, they have like a weird dynamic. He doesn't call her mom and things yet and things like that. She wants him to, and she loves him. The foster parents are great. You know what I'm saying? My boy, what's his name? From Walking Dead. Oh man, I gotta look it up. Yeah, what's his name, man? Jerry. That was his name in that was his name in The Walking Dead. But what was his name? Yeah, Cooper Andrews, Victor Vasquez in this. But yeah, good old Jerry, man. I love that dude. He's pretty funny, man. You can just tell he's like a genuine dude in real life too. But they got a good dynamic, and but he turns back to Billy because you don't see a lot of Billy in this. You see more Shazam than you do Billy, and some people said no, they wanted to see more Billy dynamic and stuff like that because the first one had more of him as a teenager and things like that. So I was glad to see more Shazam. Like I said, I feel like Shazam needed more shine anyway since the first one. So but he turned back to Billy because his mom was like, I want to see you again. I want to see my Billy. And then they have a touchy moment and things like that. And he says, love you, Mom. And he turns back to Shazam and he goes at it, you know what I'm saying? And he really does the hero thing. Like he really comes into his own when it comes to the plan of, fighting the dragon. And the dragon was dope. It was a wood dragon. So I don't know if that's canon as far as to Greek mythos or Greek mythology. But It was a wood dragon, and what was the dragon's name? But he was like he protected the garden. The dragon did. It was a garden that garden of the gods that he would protect it. So, and he had the power to actually hypnotize you and cripple you with fear. Kind of like, kind of like it, you kind of look into the eyes of death, or it's like dead lights, and you could turn into you just would be paralyzed by fear and stuff like that. Um, yeah, so he kind of had that thing when it came to that. Yeah. Um, Layden is his name. So, yeah, he is the dragon and protector of the Garden of the Gods. But yeah, so um, she's Layden and her are going through the city and tearing up stuff, and yeah, it's pretty. They have the staff at this point. They have they already planted the seed, so they kind of pretty much Shazam dupes Calypso again, and then takes the staff, and that's a part of the plan. They need the staff to pretty much overcharge it with power, to kill Layden and the tree of eternity. So they want to destroy the tree, destroy the dragon, destroy Calypso, all in the process, and they need the staff overcharged to do that. So there's another moving scene with Anne and Freddy to where they stand up to the dragon, and even though he's paralyzing them with fear, they still stand up to him, which is it was a pretty moving scene. I like that scene. But then that's when Shazam comes in and made you look and had his moment. But we're wrapping it up. We're getting there. So at this point, he tells where Hespera, she actually got killed, quote unquote, by the dragon, and betrayed by her sister Calypso. So didn't see that coming as far as her killing her or trying to kill her, but she was still alive, and she was able to move the dome into the Philly stadium to capture Shazam and Calypso and the dragon there. So they couldn't get out of this barrier, so they were just stuck there because the overcharging the staff would blow up everything, would destroy that whole city. So they had to localize it in that dome, encase it in that dome for just them to be impacted by that. So it was a pretty cool fight. Shazam did some cool stuff. He fought hard, man. Like they say, the dragon breathes fire, so he was flying through the fire, charging up the staff even more. He was shooting lightning, charging up the staff. So he realized that charging the staff was the way to go. So he charged the staff even more, and by this time, everybody's like, no, Billy, we gotta go to Billy. So they look in the dome, trying to see what's going on. And of course, Billy, and Freddy have a moment. And then he does his thing. And yeah, he says the magic word, Shazam, which, wisdom of Solomon, strength of Hercules, stamina of Atlas, power of Zeus, courage of Achilles, and speed of Mercury, Shazam. And that was enough to take out the tree, take out the dragon, and take out Calypso. But it also killed him in the process. And it was moving because it was like, they're going to do a situation where he's going to come right back to life. Oh, he ain't dead, man. Come on, stop playing. You ain't dead. But he really died in that moment. So, and Freddy, everybody, the family was in tears and things like that. And Freddy was like, nah, you can't give up and things like that. So that was pretty good, scene as far as emotion and things like that. And then the scene I wasn't expecting, and the one that had me hype, was when they buried Billy, and they were like, man, and it was like there's no more magic, there's no more power, there's no more gods to spark this staff to give it power so we can resurrect Billy. And then enter Wonder Woman. She comes in and like, maybe I could help. Not sure how she knew, not sure how she was around. Like I said, there's some plot holes, but it worked because I wanted to see Wonder Woman. It was cool. And so Wonder Woman came in and she did her little slam of the staff down to the ground, and there was enough spark to get it going. So and they resurrected Billy, and there's a funny banter between them because, like I said, he tried, he's a kid, what I'm saying? He tries to make his move and shoot a shot. I mean, he ain't got the riz though, man. You ain't got the juice, bro. You need to work on it, what I'm saying? But at least not yet. But yeah, she was like, He's like, I'm about to turn 18 and things like that. She's like, nah, you good, kid. Keep dreaming, basically. But but she did say he had heart and things like that. So they had a little funny banter between them as well. But yeah, so and that's pretty much the gist of the movie. There was two post-credit scenes in that. Oh yeah, and also before we get to that point, he didn't know his name at this point. And the wizard, he's all cool, modernized now, and got the fresh drip on with the cane, with the what do you call them hats, with the not the bucket hat, but the man, what you call those hats, man? But he had like the fresh fit on, you know what I'm saying? And he came in there, was like, yo, I'm about to see the world. Got an Uber outside because at first he was like, I'm gonna die and things, but he's like, nah, I'm just playing. I got the Uber. I'm gonna see the world. I've been locked in a prison for all this time and rocks and dirt, and I want to see the world. So and he came to get the staff as well. But Billy asked, hey, what's my name? And he was like, Shazam. You know what I'm saying? So he finally knows that his name is Shazam. So then we get to the cutscenes, and it was the two from Peacemaker, the one tech guy and the one assassin or agent from Waller's camp. And they go, they walk through the woods looking for, and I don't know why he's in the woods, but they find Shazam in the woods shooting cans and bottles with his lightning, acting like a a big idiot. But that's funny. He's having fun, you know what I'm saying? He's a big kid, man, but like I said, it's kind of overly kiddie when he's Shazam for some reason. But yeah, he's shooting, stuff and which it was pretty comical, but. And it was like, yeah, we want you on a team and things like that. He's like, yeah, sure. And she was like, the justice. She just said justice, and he was like, oh, sign me in. And then she was like, well, that was easy. Well, welcome to the Justice Society. He's like, Justice Society? That's like the Justice League, right? And she was like, nah, it's not the Justice League. It's the Justice Society. It's two different words. Yeah, that's two different meanings. And he's like, well, I just want to be in the one with Wonder Woman. So which one is that? So that's one of the cutscenes. So maybe he's gonna be with the Peacemaker camp or the Justice Society. They're gonna do something with that later on, which is gonna be interesting. Because I don't know if he's gonna run into Dr. Fate died in Black Adam, but I don't know if he's gonna run into them, Hawkman and stuff like that, and the rest of them. If he's gonna run into them later on. And maybe that's where they were supposed to meet, Black Adam and stuff like that, Shazam. But for some reason, they didn't want any parts. The Rock didn't want any parts of it. And we know the Rocket or Black Adam's not going to be seen for a while. At least that's what they say. We don't know what's going to happen. Or, if he does, I don't know if it's going to be the Rock playing the character. So, I don't know. I like Black Adam. Watching it the second time, it wasn't as good for some reason. But, yeah, I actually think this one is a little better, to be honest. But, yeah, it was just a fun time at the movies, man. But that's the first post-credit scene. The second one is Dr. Savannah, in the jail cell, because we see that as well in the first one. He's in the jail cell trying to make his way in the little worm dude. What's the worm dude's name? It's a caterpillar. It's like a magic one, Mr. Mind. Yeah, Mr. Mind is the worm. But he's like a caterpillar, alien caterpillar who's really smart, things like that. So him and Dr. Savannah is coming up with a plan on I don't know, getting him out and maybe getting him his powers back and things like that. Because in the first one, the seven sins gave him his powers. So when they were out of him, he didn't have powers. But they gave him his powers in that one. But yeah, that's the gist of the movie, man. Like I said, ultimately it was a fun time at the movies, and it's just like with anything, you're either gonna like it or I think it's more nuanced than like it, hate it, or like it, love it, or love it, like it, hate it. It could be, it was good. Some people say it's mid, some people say it's trash, some people say it's great, some people say 10 out of 10, some people say 5 out of 10. So it's just really all over the place. You know what I'm saying? So you really have to watch the movie for yourself and get your own perspective and build your own opinion on it, because that's what's going to help you gauge what it is. I know reviews are they're markers to help us understand if we want to see a movie or not, and some we really live by and like, yo, I'm not going to see it because so and so said, and that's cool if you want to do that. But me, I always take it for face value, or That's their opinion, is the face value, is what I'm saying. So my opinion may be different from that. Or it could be like, I see what they're saying with this. Yeah, it's not really a good movie. I could have stayed home. You're right. Yeah, I spent, 10, 15, whatever, so I could have used that for something else. So I get that, listen to the reviews. It's still good to look at reviews and listen to reviews. But, like I said, take it with a grain of salt and really make your own assessment of the movie and go from there. Because the disconnect between Hollywood critics and the audience. A lot of times you look at Rotten Tomatoes and the critic score and the audience score rarely is close or similar or the same. It's typically off by like 30% or so. You know what I'm saying? Or it's sometimes closer, but yeah, typically there's a disconnect. And but yeah, like I said, this is fun. I would see it. I think it still beats, Ant-Man and Wasp: Quantumania. That movie was all right. It was, like I said, I went there, turned my brain off, and watched it as well. I wasn't really expecting a box office, hit, but yeah, I think this movie is better than that. And now it made, Ant-Man, I think it had 480 something, I think, at the box office currently. So, I don't know if this is going to surpass it. It may not surpass it, but even if it doesn't surpass it, I still feel like it's a better movie in my opinion. I had a better time with this movie, I should say. It may not be like a completely better movie, but I had a better time with this movie than I did that one, because I was kind of frustrated with that one and things that I was like, I don't like how they're trying to move the plot by not saying who this evil bad guy is. You know what I'm saying? So there's things I liked about it, things I didn't, but. And there's some things that need work on this movie too, Shazam. So Fury of the Gods. So like I said, you have to take it with a grain of salt. You have to, do your own research. You have to, really fill it out for yourself, But yeah, this is a movie you can go see. I feel like, you don't really have to wait for Disney Plus, or not Disney Plus, but wherever they're gonna show it at next. You don't have to wait for that. Probably HBO Max is what they'll show it on when it gets to streaming. But I feel like you could go see it and have a good time. But let us know what you think. Is this a movie that you want to see? Have you seen it already? What's your thoughts on it? Do you agree with critics saying that they don't like it? Do you agree with people saying they do like it? Is it a good movie? Is it a great movie? What are your thoughts? We would love to hear it in the comments. We would love to hear it on our YouTube channel for those who are listening on Spotify and on iTunes and things like that, on Apple. What are your thoughts? Let us know. But thanks again for listening to Hack the Gamer Podcast. Keep being great. And until next time, peace.